Before the world can disturb your peace, you give it permission. Think about that. Every morning before the noise, the stress, the messages, the people, you silently decide whether today will control you or whether you will control yourself. Now, here's something most people don't know. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, woke up every day expecting problems, disrespect, conflict, chaos, not because he was pessimistic, but because he was prepared. While others hoped for an easy day, he trained his mind for a difficult one. And that single mental rule made him unshakable. Because when you expect resistance, you stop being surprised by it. When you expect rude people, their words lose their power. When you expect chaos, your calm becomes armor. This is the Stoic Morning Rule, a quiet habit that protects your peace before the day even begins. And once you understand it, your mornings will never feel the same again. Part 1, Story Intro. Marcus Aurelius. Before we talk about peace, you need to understand something uncomfortable. Marcus Aurelius did not live a peaceful life. He ruled the most powerful empire on earth during war. He lost children. He suffered from chronic illness. He was surrounded by betrayal, political pressure, and constant judgment. And yet history remembers him not for rage, but for calm. Not for domination, but for inner control. Every morning before sunrise, Marcus Aurelius wrote privately in a journal. Not for the public, not for praise, not even for motivation. He wrote to prepare his mind. In one of his most famous reflections, he begins the day by reminding himself that he will meet difficult people, rude, selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest. That sounds negative, until you understand why. He wasn't complaining. He was training. Because Marcus understood something modern psychology now confirms: expectations shape emotional reactions. A 2018 behavioral study showed that unexpected stress increases emotional reactivity by over 40%. In simple terms, what surprises you controls you. Marcus didn't want to be controlled. So every morning before the world touched him, he touched reality first. Let's pause for a second. Take a slow breath in and out. Say this quietly with me: I am not entitled to an easy day. This sentence doesn't weaken you. It frees you. Because when you expect ease, life feels unfair. But when you expect resistance, life feels honest. Marcus wrote something profound. Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial. Not to judge them, but to remove their power. Here's the paradox. By expecting difficulty, he reduced suffering. He understood a law of the mind: anticipation softens impact. Think about your own mornings. Most people wake up and unconsciously expect respect, smooth traffic, cooperation, appreciation, and when reality disagrees, frustration begins. Marcus chose a different path. He rehearsed adversity before it arrived. Not with fear, with clarity, not with bitterness, with acceptance. And that single habit quietly protected his peace while ruling an empire. Here's the reset. Breathe with me again. Inhale slowly, exhale fully. Say it with me. I prepare my mind before the world tests it. This is where the Stoic Morning Rule begins. And in the next part, you'll learn exactly what that rule is, why it works psychologically, and how it gives you emotional armor before the day even starts. Stay with me. Part 2, the Stoic Morning Rule. Now that you understand why Marcus Aurelius trained his mind each morning, let's go deeper into what the Stoic Morning Rule actually is and why it works so powerfully on the human mind. Because this rule is not positive thinking, it's not motivation, and it's definitely not pretending everything will be fine. It is something far more honest. The Stoic Morning Rule is simple: expect difficulty before the day begins. Not with fear, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that he would meet rude people, selfish people, ungrateful people, angry people, obstacles, and delays. Why? Because when difficulty arrives unannounced, it shocks the nervous system. But when it arrives as expected, it loses its power. Let's pause for a moment. Take a slow breath in and breathe out. Say this with me: I am not surprised by difficulty. That sentence alone begins to loosen the grip of frustration. Modern psychology supports this deeply. Studies in cognitive neuroscience show that unexpected negative events trigger stronger amygdala activation, the part of the brain responsible for fear and emotional reactivity. In contrast, anticipated stress activates the prefrontal cortex, the area linked to reasoning, control, and perspective. In simple terms, what you expect, you handle better. Marcus Aurelius understood this without brain scans or research papers. He observed himself. He saw that suffering often comes not from events themselves, but from the collision between expectation and reality. That's why he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Read that again. The event is neutral. Your judgment gives it power. This is the heart of Stoic psychology. Let's ground this in real life. Imagine waking up believing today should be smooth. Traffic should cooperate. People should be polite. Plans should work. Then reality hits. Someone cuts you off. A message goes unanswered. A meeting gets delayed. Someone speaks harshly. Suddenly your mood collapses. Not because these things are catastrophic, but because they violated your expectations. Now imagine a different morning. You wake up and quietly say, "Today I may face delays. I may meet difficult people. Things may not go my way." When those things happen later, something strange occurs. You don't flinch. You think, "Yes, this is what I prepared for." This is not resignation. This is readiness. Let's pause again. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. Say it with me. I prepare for reality, not for comfort. This is the psychological shield Marcus Aurelius built every morning. And here's the paradox: by expecting difficulty, life actually feels lighter. Because you stop arguing with reality. You stop saying this shouldn't be happening, and start saying this is part of being human. That shift alone reduces emotional friction dramatically. A 2020 behavioral study found that acceptance-based thinking reduces emotional distress by up to 30% compared to resistance-based thinking. Stoicism arrived at this insight nearly 2,000 years earlier. Marcus lived it daily. He ruled during war. Plague swept through the empire. Friends betrayed him. His health failed. And still he wrote, "Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others. Be content to be a good person." That sentence reveals something powerful. The Stoic Morning Rule isn't about controlling the world. It's about protecting your inner command center. Because the moment you wake up, your mind is vulnerable, untrained, open to influence. That's why mornings matter. What you tell yourself in the first few minutes becomes the lens through which you see everything else. Most people unknowingly tell themselves, "Today better go well." Stoics say something very different. "Whatever comes, I will meet it with reason." Let's reset again. Breathe in and out. Say it with me. I control my response. This one sentence is a line of defense. Traffic cannot take your dignity. Criticism cannot steal your character. Delay cannot damage your values. Only your judgment can do that. Marcus Aurelius trained this distinction relentlessly. He reminded himself daily that people act poorly out of ignorance, fear, or confusion, not because the universe is targeting him. That understanding creates compassion instead of anger, distance instead of reaction, freedom instead of frustration. And here's something most people miss. The Stoic Morning Rule doesn't make you passive, it makes you precise. When you stop wasting energy on outrage, you gain clarity. When you stop fighting reality, you gain focus. When you stop demanding comfort, you gain strength. This is why Stoicism was practiced by emperors, generals, and leaders, people who could not afford emotional chaos. Now let's anchor this with a short exercise you can use tomorrow morning. Before you touch your phone, before news, before messages, pause. Take one breath. Then say, "Today I may face difficulty. I accept this in advance. I will meet it with reason." Repeat it slowly. Let it land. This is not resignation. This is readiness, and readiness creates calm. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for peace to arrive someday. He trained for disturbance every single morning, and through that training, peace followed him. In the next part, we'll go even deeper. You'll learn why this rule protects your peace all day, how it reshapes emotional habits, and how small morning expectations quietly reprogram your reactions without force or effort. Stay with me. What comes next is where the real transformation begins. Part 3, Stoic Wisdom Explained. Now that you understand the rule itself, let's go deeper into why it works and why it protects your peace in a way few philosophies ever could. At the heart of Stoicism is one simple but radical distinction. Marcus Aurelius wrote it clearly: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This single sentence explains almost everything. Stoicism teaches that life is divided into two categories: things you can control and things you cannot. This distinction sounds simple, almost obvious, yet most suffering comes from confusing the two. Let's slow down for a moment. Take a gentle breath in and breathe out. Say this with me: some things are up to me, some things are not. Other people's behavior, not up to you. Traffic, delays, weather, technology failing, not up to you. How someone speaks to you, how they judge you, how they misunderstand you, not in your control. But your judgment, your response, your inner attitude, those belong to you. This is where the Stoic Morning Rule becomes powerful. Because when you wake up expecting perfection, your mind unconsciously demands control over things it never had. And when that control is violated, frustration appears. But when you wake up expecting difficulty, something subtle changes. You stop fighting reality, you stop arguing with what is, and peace becomes possible. Marcus Aurelius trained this awareness every single morning because he knew something most people learn too late. You don't lose peace because life is hard. You lose peace because you expect it to be easy. Let that sink in. Pause. Breathe in and out. Say it slowly: I release my demand for an easy day. This is not weakness. It is wisdom. Modern psychology supports this deeply. Research on emotional regulation shows that acceptance-based thinking significantly lowers stress, anxiety, and rumination, while resistance amplifies them. In other words, what you fight grows, what you accept softens. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They didn't waste energy asking, why is this happening to me? They asked, how should I respond to what is happening? That shift changes everything. Imagine two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One curses, clenches their jaw, and feels their blood pressure rise. The other thinks, this is outside my control. I'll use this time to breathe. Same situation, different inner world. The difference isn't luck, it's training. Marcus Aurelius trained this perspective daily because he knew something uncomfortable. Your mind will always look for something to complain about unless you teach it otherwise. Left untrained, the mind expects comfort and reacts with anger. Trained, it expects difficulty and responds with reason. That's why Marcus wrote, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. This is not denial, it's interpretation. Events don't hurt us directly, our judgments about them do. Let's pause again. Inhale slowly, exhale gently, say it with me. I decide what has power over me. This sentence is a mental boundary. When practiced daily, it changes how you move through the world. Here's where the Stoic Morning Rule becomes deeply practical. When you wake up and expect difficulty, you create psychological distance between yourself and events. Instead of reacting automatically, you observe. Instead of exploding, you pause. Instead of spiraling, you choose. That pause, even half a second, is where freedom lives. Neuroscience confirms this too. Studies show that naming and reframing experiences activates the prefrontal cortex, which calms the emotional centers of the brain. This is why deliberate reflection reduces impulsive reactions. Marcus didn't know the neuroscience, but he mastered the result. He trained himself to pause, to reflect, to respond rather than react. And this is why the Stoic Morning Rule protects your peace throughout the entire day. Because it prepares your nervous system before chaos appears. Most people prepare for meetings, workouts, and schedules, but not for emotional friction. Stoics prepared for friction first. They asked themselves each morning, what kind of people might I meet today? What challenges might arise? How will I respond when they do? This mental rehearsal builds resilience. Athletes visualize challenges before competition. Soldiers rehearse scenarios before battle. Stoics rehearsed adversity before life. And the effect is profound. When something goes wrong later, your mind says, I've been here before. You feel steadier, calmer, less reactive. This is not suppression, it's mastery. Let's reset one more time. Breathe in, breathe out. Say it slowly. I meet life as it is, not as I wish it to be. That sentence alone can end years of inner conflict. Marcus Aurelius understood that peace is not fragile when it's built on realism. It becomes durable, quiet, strong. And here's the most important part. The Stoic Morning Rule doesn't make you cold or detached. It makes you compassionate. Because when you understand that people act out of ignorance, fear, or confusion, you stop taking their behavior personally. You gain distance without losing humanity. You gain clarity without cruelty. That balance is rare and powerful. This is why Stoicism endured for over 2,000 years. Not because it promises happiness, but because it teaches stability. In the next part, we'll move from understanding to action. You'll learn exactly how to apply this rule in your daily life, step by step, in under 1 minute each morning, so it becomes automatic, effortless, and deeply grounding. Stay with me. What comes next is where this philosophy turns into a daily practice that quietly changes everything. Part 4, how to apply this today, practical steps. Now that you understand the idea behind the Stoic Morning Rule, the next question is simple. How do you actually use it starting tomorrow? Because philosophy only matters when it changes how you live. Marcus Aurelius didn't collect ideas, he practiced them. And his practice was surprisingly small, not complicated, not dramatic, but powerful enough to shape his entire mindset. Let's slow down for a moment. Take a gentle breath in and let it go. Say this with me. Small habits shape strong minds. The Stoic Morning Rule begins before you touch your phone, before messages, before news, before the world starts pulling at your attention. Pause. Even 30 seconds is enough. This pause creates space, a boundary between your inner world and everything outside it. Modern psychology shows that the first moments after waking strongly influence emotional tone for the rest of the day. The mind is more open, more suggestible. Marcus Aurelius understood this intuitively. So the first step is simple. Step 1, name. What may happen? Quietly say in your mind or out loud. Today I may face difficulty. I may meet delays, problems, or difficult people. Say it slowly. This is not pessimism, it's realism. Marcus wrote, begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet busybody, the ungrateful, the arrogant. He wasn't judging people, he was preparing his mind. When difficulty arrives unexpectedly, it shocks us. When we expect it, it loses its power. Let's pause again. Breathe in, breathe out. Say it with me. I am not surprised by difficulty. That sentence alone reduces frustration. Now comes the second step. Step 2, reclaim what you control. After acknowledging what may go wrong, bring your attention inward. Say, but my response is mine. This is the core of Stoicism. You can't control traffic. You can't control delays. You can't control other people's moods. But you can control how you respond. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That is real control. Let's reset again. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. Say it with me. I choose my response. This pause creates freedom. Psychologists call this response flexibility, the ability to pause before reacting. It's one of the strongest predictors of emotional stability. The Stoics practiced it daily. Now imagine your day. A plan changes, someone speaks sharply, something goes wrong. Instead of reacting, you recognize the moment. You think, this is what I prepared for. And suddenly you're not trapped inside the emotion. You're observing it. That awareness is power. Let's pause once more. Breathe in, breathe out. Say I am prepared. Now comes the final step. Step 3, choose your guiding value. After accepting difficulty and reclaiming control, choose how you want to act. Not what you want to achieve, but who you want to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Each morning, choose one quality to guide you. Calm, patience, reason, fairness, just one. Say it quietly. Today I choose calm. That single word becomes your anchor. Every challenge becomes practice. A delay becomes training in patience. Criticism becomes training in restraint. Stress becomes training in clarity. Life turns into a gym for the mind. Let's take one final breath together. Inhale, exhale. Say I practice who I want to become. This is the Stoic Morning Rule in action. It doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't require long rituals. It only asks for awareness. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for peace to arrive. He prepared for disturbance. And because of that, peace followed him. In the next part, we'll bring everything together, the final Stoic lesson that turns preparation into lasting inner strength. Stay with me. What comes next completes the path. Part 5, Stoic Lesson. The quiet power of prepared minds. At this point, something important should feel different. Not louder, not dramatic, but quieter, more grounded. Because the Stoic Morning Rule was never meant to excite you, it was meant to steady you. Marcus Aurelius understood something most people spend their lives chasing without realizing peace is not something the world gives. It is something you build inside. That is why he never waited for calm circumstances. He prepared for disturbance. And through that preparation, he became unshakable. Let's pause for a moment. Take a slow breath in and let it go. Say this with me: I prepare my mind before the world tests it. This single idea holds the entire philosophy together. Because life will always bring noise. People will disappoint. Plans will collapse. Uncertainty will appear. The Stoic does not deny this. The Stoic trains for it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Notice what he's saying. Not your possessions, not your success, not other people's approval, your thoughts, your interpretations, your inner dialogue. That is where peace lives or dies. When you practice the Stoic Morning Rule, something subtle begins to happen. You stop demanding that the world behave a certain way. You stop saying this shouldn't be happening. And you start asking, how will I meet this? That shift is everything. Let's breathe together again. Inhale, exhale. Say quietly, I meet life as it is. This is not resignation, it is strength. Because resistance drains energy, acceptance frees it. When you accept that difficulty is part of being human, you stop taking life personally. You stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting, your mind becomes clearer. Your reactions slow down. Your emotions soften. Your choices improve. This is why Stoicism has survived for over 2,000 years. It doesn't promise happiness, it teaches stability. Marcus Aurelius lived through war, plague, betrayal, and loss, yet his writings are calm, grounded, and compassionate. Why? Because he trained his mind every morning. He rehearsed adversity so it wouldn't overpower him later. He reminded himself that other people act from ignorance, fear, or confusion, not malice. And that understanding created distance, space, freedom. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant." Not to harden his heart, but to protect it. This practice doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. You still feel, you still care, but you are no longer controlled by every emotion that passes through you. Let's pause once more. Breathe in slowly and breathe out fully. Say it with me: I choose clarity over chaos. This is the quiet power of preparation. Over time, something changes. You begin to notice space between events and reactions. You respond instead of react. You observe instead of explode. You choose instead of being dragged. And that space becomes your freedom. You don't need the world to change for this to work. You don't need perfect conditions. You only need consistency. A few seconds each morning. A moment of awareness. A reminder of what you control. This is why the Stoic Morning Rule endures. It's simple, it's realistic, and it works. Marcus Aurelius didn't search for peace outside himself. He trained his mind until peace followed naturally. And you can do the same. Let's end with one final breath together. Inhale, exhale. Say this slowly: I am prepared for today. Let that settle, because peace isn't something you find once. It's something you practice again and again. Thank you for being here, and remember, you don't need the world to change for you to be at peace. You only need to train your mind. If this message helped you see your mornings differently, take a moment to sit with it. Return to it tomorrow and the day after, because peace isn't found once. It's practiced again and again. Thank you for being here. If you want more reflections like this: calm, clarity, and strength for everyday life, Subscribe to the channel Making Life Better. And before you go, I want you to do one small thing. In the comments, write just one word, prepared. Because every time you write it, you remind yourself of this truth. You don't wait for peace, you prepare for it. You don't need the world to change for you to be at peace. You only need to train your mind.